Oh, we are live. Should be live on YouTube at this point. Um, I've got Ali here from Imagination Media with me. And hold on just a second here. I've got my YouTube stream playing over there, so I'm hearing myself in delay. That's never a good thing. Today, I'm drinking a Denim Downhiller winter ale. I've got something that y'all are not going to be able to get wherever you are, unless you're in the state of Alabama. This is from Good People Brewing Company. So this is an Alabama original here. Again, like I said, I got Ali here. Say hello, Ali. State of Alabama.
Hi guys, how's everybody doing? Glad to join you, TJ. I'm actually drinking some Gentleman Jack, my trusty Yeti. Didn't have it here on hand, short notice, but looking forward to the conversation. That actually looks like a really nice can.
It's the thing is cans get a little bit of a bad rap, but light is really bad for beer. So cans are typically actually better for beer than bottles are, I believe. The little bit of sip I had there, this is actually a really solid beer. I don't think it's quite as nice as the one I was drinking last week that I can't even remember the name of it, but it's good nonetheless, man. Let's not live in the past.
Absolutely.
Like I said, it's definitely last minute. I appreciate you joining. We may have some other folks joining in a little bit. We may not. I don't know. What I wanted to do, though, is, we're trying to do this Friday live stream. We may talk about whatever. Nothing's off limits. But I thought having more people on, maybe a round table, hopefully we can get 3, 4, 5 people, do an hour live stream, talk about whatever the latest happenings are in the Magento community. So definitely appreciate you joining there in the last minute. It's going to be boring if it's just me talking at the camera again.
Sounds good to me. So looks like we had some pretty interesting announcements recently from Magento with respect to the Magento community. Might be a good place to start.
Yeah, that's the title I threw on the video, is the Magento Masters announcement coming this week. We've also got the advertising and promotion for Magento Imagine has ramped up pretty hard lately. And then the live stream by Rebecca Brockton and panel and guests talking about mental health in the Magento community was interesting. It just so happened that my time zone calculation was off, so I was in and out of calls during most of it, but I did catch a good bit. It was a very interesting discussion, very similar to what we've got going here with the back and forth at a Google Hangouts.
What did you think about the new Magento Masters that were recently announced?
It's always like, is it that time of year again when they come out with them? There's a few new ones. I always like to see new faces and new names on that list. It's just kind of like, is it the same old people every time? And not taking away from the people that are, again, Philip Jackson and those guys, they very much deserve it. They put in the work at creating content. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned from doing the videos and the live streams, is it takes a lot of effort to create content, and what Philip does is just incredible. But it's always good to see someone new surface to the top there as well.
I did see some new folks. I don't remember the list 100% last year. I was introduced to Carmen Bremen, Rakesh. I was introduced to. I hadn't heard of Rakesh prior to that. I don't spend too much time on the Magento forums these days, unfortunately. So I may miss out on some of these folks, but Danny, the CEO of Cream, was another person that I was able to introduce myself to for the first time. So it was interesting. I got to meet some new members of the community, and looking forward to continuing to getting to know more about them and their contributions.
Absolutely. I don't know a lot of these people. I think that's one of the things that amazes me. Even, you know, the ones that have been masters quite a few times. If they're in the US, then I pretty much know them. And there's some like Cuba with Snow Dog, you know, you run into those guys at a lot of different conferences and you know, if we run in the same circles, but every once in a while, it's just interesting to find that, well, there's really big Magento circles outside of the circles we run in. And new people are always popping up and you find these masters and you're like, wow, I didn't even realize there was that much Magento going on in that part of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, especially outside of your small little bubble here in the U.S. It seems like there's quite a bit being contributed to the Magento community that just passes you by. You don't really um, see it too much. Like you said, it just kind of flies under the radar for us. And I'm sure they probably feel very similarly about some of the masters from the U.S. that are on that list.
Yeah, I'm sure because, well, I mean, most of them travel pretty well. You know, some of them, if you're on, basically my circle is the US conferences, the Meet Magentos, the Mage Titans, and Twitter. That's pretty much my circle.
Circle of Twitter.
Yeah, so if you're in one of those circles, I usually know who you are. I may or may not have actually spoken to you, but if you're outside those circles, then I don't even know.
So do you have a show sheet? I forgot what Mage Talk calls it. Essentially,
Oh, their notes, they're passing back and forth. No, I'm just kind of, I've got a browser pulled up here. I'm kind of looking at who was all on that Magento master list. I was excited today to see that um, I was on the top 50 contributors. So that was kind of cool. That means maybe it looks like about 20 Magento masters. I don't know if that's a hard cutoff or if that's just kind of how many there were based on criteria. And I made the top 50. Now, I don't know if I'm 21 or if I'm 50,
did you see
but
him on that list?
do what?
Did you see
Did I
mine
see?
on that list?
Let me look real quick.
Um,
No,
fairly.
no, sorry. Sorry. But if you do this video, maybe, you know, if you do
Yeah.
this every week, you get on the list, man.
Are you gonna send me a paycheck?
Well, I mean, I'm not getting a paycheck for being on here, man. It's exposure marketing.
Yep. Agreed.
This is kind of strange with the I'm looking at my live stream here, my YouTube stream. I can't see with this setup how many people are online right now. The chat is pretty much dead. If anybody happens to be watching, please hit us up in chat. I'd love to hear from you. What do you want us to talk about? There, I had an interesting thing happen this week with the Magento Masters. They announced the first round, like the first I forget which type it is, whichever one that Philip Jackson is in. And he hit me up on Twitter, said, "Man, I heard you were going to be a master too." And I'm like, "Is he playing a joke? Is this a joke? Are we? Is this funny time? Like, what are we? If, you know, am I going to be surprised? Like that? I'm checking my email. I'm going through my spam folder. I'm like, did I miss a notification?" And he's like, are you being coy with me? And I'm like, no, man, I don't know anything about it. This is not a joke. I would not be playing with you. I'd be celebrating right now. And he's like, okay, I just heard that. And um, then they announced them and I wasn't on the list. So I gave him a little bit of a hard time about it, but not too much.
What's the significance of the Elvis bobblehead?
There is no significance in the Elvis bobblehead. It's a thing we do here at the office when we go on a trip. We try to bring back a bobblehead or a figurine, preferably a bobblehead. And DJ was kind of setting up this scene, you know, for the backdrop, and we're working on lighting and trying to constantly improve what we do here. And he just set up a couple of bobbleheads.
Looks good. I like the sign.
We have a comment that who is that on the hello? I've got my my chat way over there. Let me pull it up. Hey, Mike. Is that Curisha? Is that correct pronunciation?
Marisha sounds like it would be accurate.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I butcher names. I'm sorry. I'm Southern. You know, if it's more than 3 letters, I struggle with it. Last week, Ginty's nearly. Okay. Well, if you are you going to be at Imagine? I'd love to meet you. If you're gonna, if you're gonna be there, then I can hear the pronunciation or shoot me a video.
So see,
But
that's another community member never heard of. I'm sure
exactly, and on the 50 list,
European, Germany. So
Germany. I would love to get to some of the events in Germany. Maybe Ali, we need to see if we can't rent a private plane and head over to Germany or
we
something.
may need to go to the next event in the Netherlands or something like that and hang out with some of these folks.
I think we absolutely should. I mean, if we're going to be Magento celebrities, we got to get around and see people.
Yeah.
It's the only way to do it, right? The only way I'm ever going to get keynotes like Philip is if everybody knows who I am.
Well,
Unconf looks really good.
Yeah, Unconf does look really interesting. I don't think I could ever get to where Philip is. Clearly, I don't have the hair for that. But
I'm not sure his is real. So
I've always found one conference to be a very interesting event. And I'm actually interested in what it looks like. Unconference. Is it specifically a Magento Unconference?
Yeah, I think there's Mage Unconf. Yeah.
It's like September 21st, 2018, right around my birthday. And,
That's interesting. We should look into that. I would definitely, I want to get overseas more. Honestly, I've never been out of this country, so I really need to kind of branch out. I didn't do a lot of traveling till about 2 years ago when I started going to conferences. I pretty much, when I was younger, I didn't have the money to go anywhere outside the state of Alabama, much less another country. And when I got this business started while I was in college, it's just been heads down working 100 hours a week for 18 years. So really just now getting to where we have the time and the resources to do that. I don't really have the business purpose yet, the business need overseas to do that. Is Mike saying I don't have enough hair either? I don't know, man. You should have seen me pre-haircut a couple of weeks ago. I don't know. It doesn't, it's not tall enough, but
it's definitely better than what I got. I'd love
I'm not going bald. I just have a large forehead. So it's, it's way, my hairline's way up here, but it's been there since I was a teenager. So not too worried about it. But Unconf, man, it sounds fun. There's so many events. There's the Magento Lives, and people keep showing you've got Australia and the UK, and there's just so many cool places over there to go. I see we got Daniel Kinney in the chat here.
I sent out a nice invite on our internal Slack channel, which Daniel, for some reason, stalks on occasion.
Oh, I was about to say, I didn't realize he was working with you.
He was working with us a while back, and occasionally when something bad happens and he can post a nice jiffy, he kind of just pops his head in and in front of us and then disappears again.
He just remains social, right? He gets bored and then he just pops in to see what you guys are up to.
Very creepy. It's very creepy. He pops in at the most inopportune times. Let's put it that way.
Heck, send him the link. Let's get him on the. You want to be on the chat here? If anybody wants to be on this panel, let me know in the chat. I will send you the link, and we'll get you on here. I mean, I'm not afraid to let this just all go to hell. If that's what it takes to make it fun, we'll just do it.
Well, we can turn this into what we essentially do after the conferences, where we end up at a bar and start drinking.
Well, that's pretty much what I'm thinking, right? Like, let's have some beer. Let's have 4 or 5 Magento community members, and let's just talk about what else. All right. Hey, send that link that I sent you, Ali, to Daniel there, and let him join.
I'm going to put it in Slack, Daniel.
Yeah. So just, informal hangout. Let's talk about it. We've got the Masters announcement, which I'm, it's one of those things that I think is pure genius on Magento's part. And Sherry Rhodey gets all the credit for it. And, well, at least I'm going to give her all the credit for it. I'm assuming it's all her, but it's one of those things where Magento's advantage is the community. They have this wonderful community that is more active than any other community in e-commerce. They care more about the platform, they care more about the company, and they participate and contribute more than anybody else does. And so when you can engage them and you can show people, that you actually do care and that the little things you do matters, that just gets them to engage that much more. And so this was a wonderful, wonderful program. I see Anderson in there. And we got Mike asking what I'm drinking today. This is actually going to be a beer you're not going to be able to find. This is by Good People Brewing Company, which is an Alabama brewery. This is the Denim Downhiller Winter Ale. And I'll read the description here. Our winter radio voice. Our winter ale is warm, toasty, nutty, and caramelly. Its amber sweetness balanced by fruity, floral, earthy, slightly spicy hop tones. Highly sessionable. It pairs well with a hearty meal after a long day on the slopes.
They got nice packaging.
Thank you. Thank you. Did you just say I have a nice package?
The beer has a nice package.
Yeah, they do a good job of selling it. It is a really good beer. I've made some really nice selections. I typically like winter ales, so it's I didn't go too much out of my comfort zone. I forget what the one was last week. It was fantastic as well. So I'm sure sooner or later I'll have a bad beer, but not today. Ali's going with the Gentleman Jack. Is that what you had?
Gentleman Jack.
Gentleman Jack.
Somebody recently turned me on to Gentleman Jack. I'm a huge bourbon fan. Gentleman Jack is not exactly a bourbon.
Not exactly, but it's good. Especially if you don't mix it. Like if you're going to throw it in Coke,
But on the rocks,
yeah,
you get it on the rocks, and it's really smooth. It's a smooth whiskey. I really enjoy it.
It's a good thing. If you get a chance to try the Sinatra Select, I highly recommend that as well.
It's also by Jack Daniels.
Yeah, it's a Jack Daniels Sinatra Select. It's probably one of my favorites. It's Jack Daniels with so many more flavors to it, and it's a little pricey. I say a little pricey. It's 2-3 times the cost of just a regular old Jack Daniels bottle, but it's good drinking, man.
Nice.
If I catch you mixing it, we're gonna have a problem.
No, my Gentleman Jack is on the rocks in the Yeti.
Like if you mix Gentleman Jack, I'm like, I think a little less of you. If you start mixing Sinatra Select, though, we just not close anymore.
You're a Jack and Coke guy, right?
Oh yeah. The thing is I don't really care. I'm not in love with Jack Daniels. I'm not in love with Coke. But there is something just magical about the combination of the two of them.
Good to know. I usually drink my whiskey on the rocks by itself.
A little more manly than I am.
Yeah. Got to cut those calories back wherever I can.
Well, I mean, you go Coke Zero, right?
Yeah.
So let us know in the chat what you want. I mean, any questions, anything you want us to talk about. Hopefully Daniel Kinney will make it on here in a minute and we'll be able to talk to him as well and see what's going on. The topic was Magento Masters. We've been talking about the Masters program, how I love the Masters program, and the guys that the people that are on that list have definitely put in the work, and it's a very hard-earned award, and we need more people striving to be on that list. If we've got top 50 contributors, and I put in a lot of work this year. We've got meetups, and I gave some speeches, and I've attended a lot of conferences, and we're putting out videos, and I made the list. But we need it to where my level of effort doesn't even come close. If we can get to that point, then there's no stopping this community and what it can contribute to continuing to make Magento the leading e-commerce platform.
I could not have said that better myself. I think that I'm actually looking at this Magento Masters list here, and one of the movers is somebody who I've heard of before, but knew very little about, and I'm going to butcher his name, and I apologize ahead of time. Jesse Reitzma from Uriel.
Yeah, Yisi Reitzma, I think, something like that.
Jesse Reitzma. Yeah. You know, that extension is a default extension for us in almost every build. That Uriel email tester.
Yeah.
Allows us to actually test what these outbound emails look like in a much more organized fashion. And looks like he spends quite a bit of time contributing to the Magento community in a number of different ways.
Absolutely. And Mike, yeah, and if you want me to, we'll probably pick up some beer in. We've got to get beer for the Birmingham meetup, and then the Nashville meetup, and then the Cincinnati meetup. And so we typically do those in that order, and we have local Birmingham beer, then local Nashville beer, and then, you know, this is the first Cincinnati. I'm sure some local beer there. I'm certain we'll have some left over from Birmingham, which, you know, I think Good People's in Birmingham or up that way. Yeah, Birmingham, Alabama. So I'm sure I'll sneak a few off to the side to bring up there with you. And if you've got something of interest locally that you can bring, I would definitely be interested in a local beer exchange. Mike's going to be at Mike works for Jamerson here, Ali, and he's up close, a little bit away from Cincinnati. So he's going to be at our Cincinnati, Ohio Magento meetup, where we're going to have a couple of team members from Magento do, as far as I know, the first public demo of the PWA studio.
Very nice. So
it's going to be fun.
The first public demo of the PWA studio?
It's like I said, as far as I know, I'm claiming it's the first public. They may be giving public demos every day of the week right now. This is the first one I'm aware of, so I'm not lying to you when I tell you it's the first one.
I haven't seen one myself, so that'd be interesting. You should live stream that meetup.
I asked them, and they weren't really ready for me to do that. So that was definitely something I wanted to do. But they didn't really want to go that far. I may take a camera and record some of it. How much of that I can share with the general public, I don't really know. I'm just excited that they're coming up right now. They sent us some swag. I got a swag box over here. Now, you know, I do appreciate any support I get from Magento in anything we do. And so do not take anything I say as criticism. I'm excited that they sent swag, but it's not the most exciting swag in the world.
Who sent it?
Magento sent it to us.
Oh, that's awesome. Magento has never sent me anything.
Well, you know, with the they don't send it for our normal meetups, but with PWA Studio and some actual, you know, Magento folks, we've got these little things that stick onto the back of your cell phone so you can hold business cards. I don't really use those, but I see people all the time that do. We have, look at there. See,
a koozie. There you go.
It's an empty can. It's not going to stand.
I wonder how Magento would feel about me drinking the Gentleman Jack out of the Magento cup.
Dude, oh man, you got an orange one. I got this one. I don't really care.
It's a nice one.
I like this one, you know, the orange insides and stuff. It's pretty cool. I got the big, massive Mage Talk mug over there. We've got a sheet of stickers in here as well. You know, I'll use all of those on the fridge if people don't take them. But it's a some cool swag. We'll give it away.
What's going on, guys? Free swag is always fantastic. I'll take some cozies.
You don't have video?
Oh, I do. I just leave it off.
Just go ahead and hit that button, man. I was about to say, if you aren't gonna have video, we shouldn't have invited you.
Anyone who left his chair in a few days, probably, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You might want to adjust it down, man. We're just looking at the wall, and Like, there you go.
There we go.
Cool.
We don't need the whole poster back there.
Is that a gamer chair, Daniel? Is that a gamer chair for your everyday work?
Yeah. I got to get another one. It's not as comfy anymore. It's pretty hard. So, but yeah, it's nice. You can lay all the way back. You know, you want to kind of take a break, and then you don't have to leave the chair, since I'm kind of super glued here.
He just takes a nap right there. So he literally has not got up from the chair.
That's right.
He has a bedpan. He has a microwave and a fridge over here.
I do.
Get up.
I have a mini cooler right here, right off to my left. I put my Red Bulls in there.
So what do you think about the Magento Masters?
To be honest, I haven't really looked at the list yet. Let's see. Sorry, my keyboard is really loud, so apologize for that ahead of time.
It's all right. Just glad you could join. Like I said, we're just hanging out, having a good time. We'll talk as long as we got things to talk about. We've got a few people chatting over here. Mike McCoy telling us that Cincinnati has some great breweries. He's going to Brewers. Okay.
Never been to Cincinnati.
This will be my first time in Cincinnati. This will be my first. I honestly, I don't know if I've actually been in the state of Ohio. I don't think I have. I'll be able to mark another state off. I'm getting the list of states I haven't been in is starting to get slim, and all of them are in the Pacific Northwest or New England.
I actually went to Minnesota a few months back. Got to mark that one off. It was really cold.
Yeah. I don't do well with cold.
Yeah. I don't know. After living in Florida this long, I kind of enjoy it. It's nice to get out and go somewhere where it's not 90 degrees every day. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like Magento Masters as a concept. I feel like there's a lot of community stuff that happens underneath. I'm actually surprised to see Brent on there. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Brent, he's got, but he's doing the Mage. He did Mage Titans in Austin this year. He did Meet Magento in India, I want to say, or Mage Titans in India. He's doing one in Mexico. Brent's getting around, man. He's putting a lot of effort in.
He's got his own private jet at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like he speaks like 7 languages. I think his daughter does all the work, but sorry, Brent. Love you. She was the driving force behind Mage Titans there, so I give her some credit. Madeline.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Yeah. So Brent's cool. It's good and I think they're doing something a little different. I didn't get to read it, but I saw something about Sherry mentioning how they're doing like an alumni for people that have been in it more than 3 times. I don't know if they're trying to figure out a way to cycle in some new names, because it would be nice to see more people involved in that. There are certain people that like we don't even have to announce, like Philip.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
like we don't even. There's no drama there. It's not like, drum roll, is Philip in it this year? Yeah, he is. So,
I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not on the 2018 one. I feel like they had to rotate him out so they could bring some new people in.
No, he's in there. He's in there. I'm talking about like for next year. I think they may be, like I said, I didn't read the full announcement, but yeah, he's, they do 3 types. They do, was it makers, mentors, and movers? I have no idea the difference between them. I don't know if there's a different criteria, or I really don't know. But yeah, he's in one of them.
He's also very active in the Magento community.
Oh yeah.
Oh, like more active than anybody that doesn't work for Magento. I mean, he's like 75X certified. He's a 33-time Magento master. The guy's, he's collecting numbers like crazy. If there's a scoreboard, he's like the New England Patriots as far as winning titles here.
Definitely going to the Magento Hall of Fame. Sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's in there. He's in there. He's like the premier the premier exhibit at the back of the Hall of Fame that they make you walk by everybody else's to get to.
I've always wondered if there's more hours in his day than there are in mine, though, because the amount he's able to accomplish in a 24-hour period is astronomical. We've just recently gotten involved with the South Florida Magento meetup. He's organized that thing solo for a number of years before we started getting involved with it. He's always done an excellent job, and he's grown that from essentially nothing in the middle of South Florida to what it is today, which I think it's probably one of the larger meetups that there is. The amount of effort that he puts into the community in general with Palm Beach Tech and trying to get other people from other aspects of technology to come and participate in the Magento meetup is pretty impressive. So I've always been thoroughly impressed with the amount of effort and work that he puts into evangelizing Magento as a whole.
I think I figured it out. I've been trying to crack that nut as well, and I think he has actually just licensed his name to something digital. And they just pay him to be able to use Philip Jackson in their promotional materials, and that he has all day to make podcasts and organize meetups and speak.
That actually would make a lot of sense. They're leasing the rights to Philip Jackson.
Yeah. The exclusive rights to use my name.
I never thought of that. That's actually
that's the only way it makes sense. Like we tried now video is a little harder than audio. A little, good bit harder if you do it right. But it's one of those where we tried to shoot a video today, and I have today and Monday to shoot video because I'm out of town all next week at meetups. And it's like, okay, in 2 days, I want to shoot 6 videos. Now we're trying to take our quality up. We're taking a little more time. We're fixing the script. We're going through the format. We're really doing a lot of work on it. And today we managed to shoot 1 video. I had microphone. I literally broke 2 microphones. We couldn't get the backdrop just right. We kept trying to have a recalibrate cameras and microphones and all this jazz. And we spent 4 hours shooting what'll probably be a 3 or 4 minute video. So, it's just one of those deals where I don't understand how he puts out as much content as he does. And you think like the other guys are participating, but I know Kalen Jordan, right? I live streamed with him in New York, and he's the talent. Like he's just gonna roll up and do his job when it's time to do his job.
Kalen's like the guy that walks through the door and he's like, "Here's my jacket. Here's my glasses. Let's do this." Then as soon as it's done, he's like, "All right, peace out. Thanks.
Yeah. Y'all have fun. Y'all process this crap." Yeah.
He's like the guy in Elf that walks into the meeting room with the story ready to go.
Yeah. Comes in prepared. We got 5 or 6 great ideas right here in this cup. I actually saw Phil at NRF briefly. I saw Phil for a few minutes, spoke to him for a few minutes. He actually was with some of the executives and CEO or president or whoever with something digital, was in a meeting.
Renegotiating his deal. Renegotiating his deal.
Was in a meeting doing a demo with, I think, what might have been a prospect in the Magento booth. And then I saw him maybe another couple hours later, and him and Brian Lang were doing a podcast right there at NRF. So, he can definitely jump from one thing to another pretty quickly. It doesn't take much for him.
He puts in work. I will give him that. He puts in work. We go to these conferences and it's like, oh, let's go hang out. Let's go to dinner. Let's go do this. He's like, nope, got work to do. Got to go meet with these people or go to dinner and schmooze these people or, got a podcast to film or record. I mean, he's definitely putting in more effort than most.
Yes. And he's running 10K, 20K per day on average.
Yeah, that's just rubbing it in, man. Now you've gone too far. I mean, you're all skinny and now, and you're exercising and that's just too far, man. There's lines here that are being crossed with that.
I agree. Making us all look bad.
Yeah.
I know. We're sitting here on a Friday drinking beer. I bet he's running somewhere right now in the Florida Everglades.
Wrestling gators.
Yeah, he's wrestling. we'll have a podcast of him, you know, wrestling gators or something here in a couple of days.
Or he's gonna start doing podcasts while he's running.
I've seen a few. I've actually had a few, not while they're running, but while they're walking. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea.
Probably make you nauseous after a while.
Yeah, you know, the heavy breathing, and you've got background noise and trains going by. You know, it's almost like I was listening to a Commerce Hero video or something.
Really bad Blair Witch Project.
Have y'all been watching the Commerce Hero videos, the daily videos Kalen does?
I haven't seen those yet. No.
Okay, they're interesting. He does an interesting job. They're great because they're short, consumable. You know, just him and one of his friends, which I don't really know him, and they're just kind of talking about some problem that's come up. I really love the format, and it's interesting. It's just I pick at him because for a while there, before he moved to Texas, he was trying some different things. He was out in the park, and it's like every time he goes somewhere, somebody comes by with a leaf blower or a siren, or, you know, like every time he tried something, there was some big loud noise.
The friend in those videos is actually very interesting. It's almost like a pawn that he has in those videos, simply just to have somebody else in the video besides just him.
Yeah, it's mostly just him bouncing it off a wall, right?
Essentially, yeah. Talking to the friend's really not engaged very much and agrees with essentially everything Kalen says.
Well, it's a start, you know, it's a start. Caitlin's very, and I learned this in the live streams we did in New York. You know, just having years of podcast experience, you tend to just know how to frame things a little different. You're thinking about how to, you know, especially when you're asking questions, you frame them where they're a little more open-ended to get more out of your whoever your subject, your audience, or your your participant on the podcast. So he was much better at that in my live streams than I was. You know, I learned a lot from just that 1 or 2 days where we were streaming. So, you know, I'm sure if, you know, Kalen's got more experience with it, the other guy he's got on there will learn and get better as it goes along.
He puts out a lot of content. I have to give it to him. He puts out a lot of content in a short amount of time.
He's a networking master.
Yeah. He's pretty amazing.
It's pretty impressive. He's got like a nice little lounge chair with a huge plasma TV or LCD or whatever in front of him. And it looks like a nice little spot to hang out.
So Magento Imagine, that was the other topic I had on the list here. You going to be at Imagine, Daniel?
I'm trying to go. I'll see what happens. You know, I'm not sure. I went, I think 2 years ago or so, and it was pretty enjoyable. But the past year or so, I've just been, past 2 years, I've been establishing sort of just my own personal consultancy. So, yeah, we'll see what happens this year. I'll try. Okay. I definitely want to go again.
It's going to be hard without getting out of that chair.
I know. I don't think they're going to let me bring it on the plane, so I'm probably going to have to run a bus or something. Get a van.
Get a driver. Yep. Get one of those handicap vans. You'd be like trying to wheel your chair up there in it.
We used to, when Phil and I worked at the Merchant, I don't know, like 5 or 6 years ago, we worked with this guy named Sean, and he would take his chair everywhere. Like this guy would just scoot around the office in his office chair. It's amazing. So
the chat's pretty much died. I think we need to figure out how to engage our audience a little better. You guys feel free to steer this conversation. We're happy to hear from you. I see, we had Anderson on there. I don't know if all of these folks, looks like we've got 12 live viewers. I'm probably one. My intern crew over there is probably 2 more. So we might have 7 or 8. I think the entire Jamerson organization is watching that. That may be all we have left.
So actually, Anderson is one of our devs, our junior devs from Brazil. And Anderson actually has been doing a really good job for us. Really picked up steam with Magento too. And Anderson's going to be going to his first Magento Imagine here pretty soon.
Hey, Anderson, just go ahead and hit me up. Send me your resume. And while we're at Imagine, I'll be walking around. Just tap me on the shoulder. We'll go outside. We'll have an interview.
Anderson's coming all the way from Brazil. He's never left Brazil before. It's gonna be his first time in the States, and he's gonna go to Imagine.
Nice. That'll be pretty exciting. First time to Imagine is pretty awesome. I will say it was like when I went like 2 years ago. It was my first time, and meeting like Marius and stuff like that. All these people that I've seen on Stack Exchange. It was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, this is amazing.
It's like he's such a celebrity.
Yeah.
The most interesting part for me is going to be seeing Anderson's reaction of never going to the United States, and his first interaction with the United States is Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say the same thing. That's probably not like the first trip you want to go on is to Vegas. That guy's going to be like, man, the U.S. is crazy.
Yeah, we're thinking about bringing him to Miami for a couple weeks, but then that's not really the United States, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be much better, Ollie.
Catch-22 here with Anderson. Like, bring him to Miami, but he didn't really go to the United States. He came to Miami, and then all of a sudden you go from Miami to Vegas. He's gonna be very confused.
Yeah, it's like you're going to show him the diversity of the country, right?
Yeah, last year we brought Louise to Miami, and Louise had a good time in Miami, and then maybe 6 months or a year after that, we took him to Mage Titans, and he finally said to us in the airport, like, "Oh, this is what the United States looks like."
Yeah, you get an interesting mix if you just go to the Magento, go to your home office there in Miami, go to Vegas for Imagine, go to Austin, Texas for Mage Titans, and go to New York for Meet Magento, and you really get an idea of what the U.S. looks like.
Yeah, very diverse.
It's 735 different countries.
So what are you guys excited to hear about? Like, what do you think they're going to announce at Imagine this year?
PWA Studio is going to be released at Imagine. A beta. It'll be a beta, but that's going to be out. They've got some integration stuff they're working on with marketplaces and stuff. There's some functionality there. I don't know. Like I'm expecting right around there, probably be 2.3 beta. So whatever comes with 2.3, expanded API coverage and the things they need for progressive web apps, I think will be the big talking points.
Yeah. Interesting.
Have you done any work with progressive web apps or React or any of those technologies, Daniel?
No. Generally, I try to avoid the front end just because it's kind of a pain. I've always been more of a back end guy. PHP, MySQL, Linux, stuff like that is what my preference tends to skew towards. So every once in a while, I'll play around with it. I did a little bit of Backbone when I worked with Phil for a little bit at SD with some Fabric.js and stuff like that. But I think eventually they converted what we had written in Backbone to React or something like that. But yeah, I haven't really had a chance to play around with it. So.
I think we're hear a lot about the cloud this year at Imagine as well. I think cloud's going to be at the forefront.
Oh yeah. Magento's selling cloud. Pretty much. It's funny. When we talk to Magento or we talk to a lead and we send them to Magento, and they're working out their license price. Cloud is all they quote. Like when we get them back, they don't even know on-prem exists. It's cloud.
Have you done any recent builds with cloud?
We're working on it. It's on our list of things to accomplish, but for most of the projects we've done on Magento 2 since they introduced cloud, early on, it's like, let's wait. Let's let them work out the bugs. Lately, we've been really trying to sell, cloud and those services and BI and all the other things that they add on. We definitely want to be involved in those projects, but we haven't done a lot of big projects lately, in that a lot of the projects we took on mid last year, early last year were big builds. So they're still going on. And so it just kind of, it's either the client was too small for cloud or the project was already underway when cloud matured. So we haven't had that great opportunity, but it's coming.
I've been I've been working on it. I got contracted for a project last February, and halfway through the project, they decided to switch to cloud. And I don't know. It's been what, about a year and a half, almost 2 years since cloud came out. I think it's still pretty. I don't know. It's still got some rough edges. They still have some stuff to iron out, in my opinion.
I want to say when they announced it at Imagine 2016. So yeah. It's because that was the famous Mage Mojo was a partner for 4 hours day. You know, they signed up for the partner program, signed their paperwork, they were ready to go. And then that afternoon they announced Magento Cloud. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people were not happy in 2016 after that announcement. But yeah, I don't know. I've been working on it for about 6 months now, and I can't say that it's been easy sailing, at least as easy as I initially would have assumed it to be. So, you know, be careful what you wish for, TJ.
What struggle? Well, I mean, you know, we're a Magento partner, right? We're expected to sell what Magento wants us to sell to a certain degree. At the same time, we want to provide the best, I guess, the best experience for our clients as far as, you know, sales all the way through implementation, and having one vendor where you're just paying the license and it's all there, having, you know, kind of that best of breed technology with New Relic and Blackfire and all of those things are great in concept. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously there's some limitations, and I'd love to hear more about what struggles you had with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one of the biggest things for us has been support. Generally, we have pretty, I wouldn't say they're exasperated response times, but, you know, some tickets go days without sort of any actionable comments back from them. That's been something that we've been struggling with them a lot lately on. And then initially when we first got onboarded, we were having issues with builds getting stuck in the environments, and then because you can only have one build running at a time, and we have, you know, 4 or 5 different environments, one build gets hung up, and then we have, you know, 5 builds waiting behind it, sort of thing. And then eventually when they do clear that build out, sometimes the builds that we had set up to process that were stuck and pending now are kind of just floating there. So now we got to get them to cancel all of our builds across all of our branches and then kind of re-push everything back up. And eventually we got that solved by apparently increasing the memory limit for the environment. So that seemed to help. So apparently, according to them, it was an issue with the cron. But just little things like that. We did some work with some GeoIP redirection stuff that was pretty difficult to kind of try and figure out. One of my gripes is so the Fastly integration that you get with cloud, you don't get access to the web GUI. So everything that you do for custom VCL snippets and stuff like that is actually done through the Fastly API. So the GUI seems to make the interaction that you have as far as managing active versions and stuff like that really easy. But then trying to do that through the API is you know, it's a bit more of a headache, because now you're working out of either Postman or some type of other RESTful you know, GUI to kind of issue those commands and stuff like that. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just kind of a little bit of a pain to deal with. So, but yeah, I mean, those are the major things that are on the top of my head that have kind of just stood out as, it's like, these are areas that could definitely be improved. So other than that, I mean, the other issues we have are generally Magento 2 specific, not necessarily cloud. So, but yeah, it's been an interesting experience working through it. So. You know, on one hand, I wouldn't necessarily say upset or anything, but it's like, it's frustrating to work on a Magento 2 cloud project, but at the same time, it's also kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. So,
and I think a lot of people who try to offer some sort of cloud offering around Magento runs into similar struggles. Anytime you start trying to, first of all, Magento developers are developers that used to have, are accustomed to having access to everything. Mm-hmm. You know, they can root into the server if they want to. They can change stuff. They can, you know, they can mess stuff up if they want to. They have access to do what they want to do. And so, you know, first of all, when you start limiting people, in their access, especially Magento developers, they all get a little, I don't really love this, now I got to wait on people. So part of it is kind of that cultural change. But yeah, anytime there's a new platform and you're starting to do something that no one else has done, then there going to be some hurdles like that. Did that project you were working on ever launch, or is it still?
Not yet. We're looking at probably Q2 of this year, launching MVP. So we're still in the development phase at the moment. So I'm sure there's more hurdles yet to come when we get to the point of actually going live. So we'll see what happens then. But most of the things we've encountered so far have just been in the development phase. So
okay, cool. Well, anything else? Anybody out there? I keep looking. I've got a screen set up over here with the chat on it, so I keep looking there instead of at the camera. But hit us up in the chat, folks. Let us know what you want to talk about. We would love to answer your questions or just give our useless thoughts on whatever topics you have in mind. As I put it, I am an e-commerce thought provider. I don't dare declare myself a thought leader. The thing is you get to determine if we're thought leaders. The only thing in my control is whether or not I provide my thoughts. So I do.
I'm very curious as to who's going to headline Magento Imagine this year, as well as who's going to be the keynote speaker as well.
That's going to be interesting, especially the celebrity, because Magic Johnson was so unfreaking believable. Like, that was incredible. That's like one of the best speeches that I've ever seen in person. Yeah. The guy was engaging and captivating, and the speeches were on point. And, he's walking around the crowd. He's taking selfies. He's so charismatic. And then we had right the opposite with Serena Williams, and obviously approved questions and, softballs down the middle and short answer questions. And I left halfway through. I mean, I was tired. Imagine is a long gruel for me. There are two types of people that are at Magento Imagine. There are the folks that stay out at Parasol up until 4 o'clock in the morning. And then there are the people, or until it closes and kicks us out. I don't know if that's 4, but people that stay out late and people that get there early. And I'm the only guy that runs with both. So when a speech is going downhill, I will quickly bail and go try to take a nap. So thank you, Serena Williams. I got a great nap.
I think it was more so that the fact that it was essentially a sit-down interview rather than being somebody that is up, standing, walking around the stage, and engaged, and just talking to you rather than being interviewed and asked. Like you said, a predetermined set of questions.
But it was literally, the part I saw was literally, so have you always been bigger than everybody else and more athletic, or did you just figure this out later? And then it was, yeah, I just been bigger than people.
I'm also wondering who's going to be the MC to replace Jamie Clark this year.
That's going to be interesting. He is no longer in the family. I apologize, Jamie, if you're watching, but I'm sure you're not. He's been, he has moved over to the dark side. For those that don't know, Jamie Clark, that usually MCs Magento Imagine, he is redoing his own business. And so far, they have been a reseller of other brands. So he had the website, and they were selling other brands, Patagonia, stuff like that, I assume. And they have decided to become a manufacturer of their own products. And so their SKU count has shrunk down. Their complexity has shrunk down. It's very basic. And they just made the decision that was best for their business to re-platform to Shopify temporarily until they get more complex needs and they move to Magento. So for now, he's on Shopify. So I don't know how he could MC. I don't know.
That'll be interesting. I don't think he's going to be MC.
Every Imagine I've been to, he was the MC. So, that'll be interesting.
I didn't hear the rumors of who, but I've heard some rumors that the new MC and the new keynote speaker this year is supposed to top anything we've seen that Imagine previously. So
what? You've heard rumors that it's supposed to top, or you've heard rumors of names?
I've heard rumors that it's supposed to top who's actually emceed as well as keynotes before.
So you don't have any names?
No, no names.
Now, from what I hear, like with the partner summit, this was our first partner summit this year. We didn't make last year's. We didn't get notified until right at the end. So last minute, so we weren't able to make it. But from what I hear, they went above and beyond with it. And so, you know, there's a good chance Magento is investing a lot in more people, more resources, more things that they're doing. You know, their advertising is increasing. And so I hear they're trying to get more merchants to this event. And I think the attendance may be up a bit, and they're really trying to take it up another level. I don't know how they do that. I mean, I'm not going to say a better MC. I think Jamie did a fantastic job. But, you know, changing that up or getting a bigger name to do that makes sense this year. You know, if you're down to like your 15th or 16th choice and they don't work out and you want somebody with a slow Southern drawl, I'm sure we could work something out.
Are you offering MC? Imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to be paid, right? I'll do it for the exposure. You let me wear my logo, I will stand on stage in front of all those merchants and I will smile and I will make jokes. I am not going to scream. I'm not going to run around the stage like Jamie Clark does, but I will tell a few jokes. I'll work at that.
I'm excited about Imagine. I always have a good time at Imagine. Kind of gives me a nice little boost of enthusiasm and confidence soon after leaving. You know, usually pick up some fairly decent content in some of the breakout sessions and general sessions as well. You know, meet a lot of new people, new members of the community you hadn't met before. So I'm excited.
I think this year will be the first year that I really spend significant amount of times in the sessions. I usually go keynotes, and then I spend all of my time networking because that's what was most advantageous for my business, is just meeting people and getting more connected into the community. And so this will be the first year where, you know, some of the breakout sessions, especially with a lot of the progressive web apps and the changes in Magento, a lot of the things going on there, I think the content of the sessions will be something that really interests me and that I spend more time in.
I enjoyed the keynotes in 2016 when I went. There was actually some really interesting stuff that they had covered as far as Magento 2 and some of the really interesting ways to take advantage of like service contracts and stuff like that. So, you know, I went to, I think probably about a year before I went to Imagine, I think I went to Sunshine PHP. And, you know, that's more generalized, so it's not necessarily applicable entirely to Magento, but I found a lot of the sort of discussions that were taking place there, the majority of them weren't I don't know, like just the way that the talks and keynotes were given at Magento were completely different from the way that Sunshine PHP tried to approach it. They seem to have a lot more beginner stuff at Sunshine PHP, and I feel like there's a nice mix between beginner level talking sessions or whatever versus like intermediate and advanced discussion topics. So I think Magento does a really good job with the way that they structure their talks and how they sort of balance between, you know, bringing in people who aren't quite sort of up to speed on Magento and bringing in people who have been doing Magento for 5 or 10 years. So they do a pretty good job.
Yeah, I submitted a talk to Magento Imagine. It was not accepted. So, you know, there's that disappointment, but it was good. You know, I don't think it was the right talk for that crowd. So I didn't really expect it to be accepted. I wouldn't mind giving some sort of presentation there. I'm one of those that I'm a dev. I'm a certified Magento developer. I mean, I'm not Philip Jackson. I don't have 17 certifications. I have one. That's all I really needed. I didn't really need that one, but I got it. So I come from the dev side, and I just lately, you know, the last 2 years, I really haven't done any dev work. I'm rebuilding our website as a progressive web app. That's literally the only code I've written And so it's like, I can't give a technical talk, especially not around Magento 2. So I'm trying to create more business oriented stuff that, might be of interest to that audience. I think if I just continue to do great videos, I'll just get famous enough to where any crap I submit, they'll just say, oh yeah, let's let that guy talk.
Talk about Phil wrangling crocodiles in the Everglades. Totally interested in that. Bring it on in.
I'll do the shopping cart is dead. Which, for you that don't know, that's a talk that Philip has made the rounds in 2016. I think that was his 2016 speech.
Yeah, I remember that speech. Yeah,
a good speech. He, I don't know if I think it was a little bit clickbait title there, but I don't disagree with the content of what he provided in that conversation.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to, like, what I got from that, and sort of my discussions with him, beyond just his speech and some of the stuff that he was trying to do with Alexa, and sort of some of his thinking as far as how like the Internet of Things applies to e-commerce. I think I could agree that like the title is a little bit clickbaity. Like I think that there's a certain niche of commerce that's opening up that is like at this current point and probably for the foreseeable future kind of coexisting alongside typical shopping cart experiences. But I think the real thing is going to be, and I don't listen, sorry, Phil, forgive me, but I don't listen to Future Commerce. So like, I don't know if these are discussion points that they've talked about, but I could see, like what Phil in that speech that he was talking about, and sort of some of the things that he's focused on with Future Commerce, at least when him and I initially were talking about it and I did listen, how those things marry with the kind of traditional shopping cart experience, and how we sort of supplement sort of typical or traditional portions of the traditional experience with these kind of new ways for recommending products. And I think the thing that he focused on a lot in that sort of discussion was like how Facebook Messenger can kind of be used as like a bot to help customers find products. And I think like that's probably a good way to break out of the e-commerce sphere, right? Because not everyone really thinks of Facebook as an e-commerce platform, even though lots of people sell products on there. But sort of that idea of how that interaction occurs, and not necessarily just strictly putting it with Facebook Messenger, but how you can integrate that into your website and drive products to the customers, or to the drive customers to the products that they're looking for and stuff like that. I think he's on the right path. I feel like though that that was a little clickbaity, but there's a lot that's kind of happening there that's probably making some big waves. So
there's a lot that's happening there, but one of the things with Future Commerce, though, I mean, maybe not from a developer standpoint, but from a retailer standpoint, if you have any sort of technical know-how as a retailer and you're trying to keep up with what's to come or what could be the cutting edge, I think Future Commerce has a lot of value. Actually, I actually like listening to it. I enjoy listening to it because I don't have a lot of time to read every article that comes out on any sort of retail journalistic website, where I can kind of get everything that happened in the space of retail and future technologies that are being developed or have already been developed and coming out, all from that one podcast. It's pretty convenient for me, essentially my laziness, but I think it does have some value to some retailers, maybe not for a developer, but
I think Future Commerce is a great podcast. I mean, I enjoy it. I definitely listen to Mage Talk because it's Magento focused, but I think Future Commerce may actually be a little better podcast. It has a broader appeal, being more merchant focused, and I think it was a very smart decision by Something Digital to put a couple of their guys on a podcast and make it merchant focused. I think it was a stroke of genius. It's a good podcast. It seems to be getting great traction. And I don't know if either of you guys saw this, but I saw today or yesterday where Snapchat is actually beta testing merchants being able to buy on their platform. Have either of you seen that?
No.
What they did was they started a Snap store. And so you can go on Snapchat and you can buy from the Snap store. And the Snap store sells like the little hot dog, the little thing they have. It's like a little stuffed hot dog and T-shirts. And it's just garbage, right? It's just low budget crap. But if you look at it very carefully, it says sold by, and then it names the name of the merchant, which is Snap in this case. And a lot of people are taking that as they are beta testing, rolling out the ability for merchants to sell directly in Snapchat. Like the whole transaction takes place on the app. You don't need to link somewhere. It's not something like that. You can buy directly from the Snapchat app. So it's kind of interesting to see where they may be going with that. I'm sure Future Commerce will talk about it and do a much better job than I'm doing.
I'm looking at it now. So it's essentially an in-app commerce platform.
Exactly. So you wouldn't link to your website. You would have a shopping cart right there on Snap, and you'd just be able to buy some stuff.
That's interesting. You can buy a hot dog plush doll.
Maybe I'm just old now, but I just feel like having like a shopping cart in every possible nook and cranny is just like absolutely crazy. Like,
I mean, I agree with
shop
you
carts.
From a merchant perspective. I agree with you. That's kind of nuts because now you've got to maintain product data and inventory data all across all of these platforms, and that sounds like just a logistical nightmare. But at the same time, that's where the audience is. You'll do that. You'll integrate with Amazon because the audience is there. You'll integrate with Snap because the audience is there. If you're selling to the demographic that's on Snapchat, you'll figure that out. It sounds like a nightmare, but that's where we're going, right? Eventually, the entire transaction will happen in Facebook. Eventually, the entire transaction will happen on Instagram or Twitter or wherever, and you're just going to have a platform that'll distribute the information to all these other platforms where your sales come from.
So going to what Daniel mentioned about having a shopping cart everywhere, I mean, that may become the only way you can actually compete with Amazon at the end of the day, is to have every possible scenario where you can get your product in front of a consumer and actually allow them to purchase it before they go to Amazon and purchase that product.
Well, especially if they store payment information in Snap. And so it's just like a one click from Snapchat, it's bought and on its way. That seems like anything that makes a transaction simpler is a good thing. The fact that if you're on Snap and you got to click and go to a website and then you got to register for an account or go through this god awful checkout process versus, yes, I want it, and now it's on its way. That's a better way. So it's not about what's complicated for the merchant. It's about what's simplest for the buyer, and having a native in-app experience that allows you to purchase a T-shirt or a hot dog or whatever it may be is the best way to go.
Yeah, I can definitely see, like, from a merchant's perspective, having your product in front of the customer at any point, whether that's through Snapchat or Facebook, like how that translates to increased conversion, especially if your demographic is on Facebook or your demographic is on Snapchat. It's like such a foreign concept to me to have all these different apps. It's like, like the Ring doorbell app, all of a sudden, like they have that social feature where like people can share videos or whatever within your neighborhood. It's like all of a sudden,
really,
boom, like now you're getting product ads in Ring, and it's like one click buy.
Exactly why, TJ, this is exactly why Daniel moved out of South Florida all the way to the boondocks in the middle of nowhere.
Because his neighborhood was sharing Ring videos?
No.
You want to get as far away from people and human interaction as possible.
Hey, I live in Alabama. You want to get away from folks? There's some places here to do it. Don't expect good internet connection, though.
Where Daniel isn't so far from where you are, man.
You're right. There's some places in Florida like that too.
It's Stuart. It's all right. It's it's up and coming. So it's not as much boondocks as it used to be like 5 years ago. So.
Who told you it was up and coming?
Huh?
Who told you it was up and coming?
Port St. Lucie, man, there's a ton of development out here. It's crazy. They're building new houses like, they're going out of style or something. I don't know. There's a ton of people moving up here right now.
Up here, yeah.
Well, I say up here because I know Ali's in Miami.
Yeah, it's up here for Ali. It's down here for everyone else in the known universe.
I get that confused sometimes, though. How's it going down there? I'm like, no, actually, it's up there.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter. The people know what you mean, right?
I would hope so. I would hope so.
We actually, I timed it recently for me to go from I-95, the main highway, to my house, which is exactly 1.5 miles. On a good day, it takes 22 minutes. On a bad day, it can be upwards of 45 minutes.
Bro, you need to get out of there, man. That's ridiculous.
Dude, I timed what it takes for me to go from my office to the house. Then on a good day, it takes like 10 minutes. And on a bad day, it takes like 10 minutes.
That's why my office is now across the street from my house. So I just walk.
Yeah, I got mad a couple of years ago. We moved our offices from historic downtown Opelika, 1 mile from my house, like 5-minute drive. It's literally like a 15-minute stroll in the park. And we moved it like 5 miles away. And I'm like, God, that's just too far. I don't know if I want to drive that far. That's like ridiculous. Like, who deals with this crap? So I'm looking at a building. There's a building over there, like, it's not even a half a mile from my house. And I'm like, that's tempting. That's really tempting.
You can drive your tow truck to work every day.
I just walk. Yeah, I could drive the tow truck to work every day. Or a go-kart. That would be even more.
That's the advantage of living in Opelika, Alabama. You don't have to ask permission to buy a tow truck. You just have every reason in the world to buy a tow truck.
Everybody needs a freaking tow truck, man. You never can tell when you're going to need to pull something.
That's right.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
Can't argue with that logic. Guy parks a little bit over your driveway, tow truck.
Exactly. Break out the Holmes 440, strap that crap to him. Now, it's old school tow truck. You're going to have a little bit of a hard time strapping to a new car. But if it's somebody else's car, who cares if the bumper comes off?
You don't have to pay AAA anymore, so there's some cost savings involved.
Now, I got a trailer. If I'm going to pull something of value, I got a trailer. The tow truck is really for looks or hauling around parts cars. I've got a 71 F100 I plan on restoring here in the near future, and I got 3 or 4 parts cars. So if we need to move those around, that's really the only thing we use the tow truck for.
Oh, that's nice.
I wish I had a tow truck.
I mean, you come borrow. It ain't gonna make it to I needs tires. It needs tires to make it to Miami, and like 7 days worth of driving because it's not gonna go fast. But it's fun. It's a fun little vehicle.
I feel like if you move to Alabama, they should just give you a tow truck automatically. Like the Texas thing. Like you move to Texas, they give you a gun and a beer.
Well, we're not a rich state like Texas. So we're not going to give it to you, but it is required, and you have 3 years to pick it up.
You just got to put the down payment on it.
Yeah, it's at your own expense, but you got 3 years.
It's amazing.
All right. Well, guys, it's been an hour and 15 minutes we've been on this thing. It looks like the chat over there has died, so I don't guess they have anything they want us to talk about. We've got 11 live viewers here. My interns are packing up their stuff, ready to go. So unless you have anything in particular you want to talk about, I think we're going to call it quits and go enjoy our Friday evening.
Sounds good. I appreciate you letting us join the conversation, TJ.
No, I appreciate both of you joining on short notice. This has been fun. We're going to try to do one of these just about every Friday. Next Friday, I will not have a live stream for anybody that's watching because I'm going to be traveling. I'll be in Birmingham, Alabama at our Birmingham, Alabama Magento meetup. on Tuesday. Then Wednesday, we're in Nashville, Tennessee for the Nashville Magento meetup. And then Thursday, I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio for the PWA studio demo and our first Cincinnati, Ohio meetup. And then Friday, I am driving like 10 hours home or eight hours home or something like that. So won't have one next Friday, but we'll pick it up again the following Friday. And I like this Google Hangouts much better than what I did last week. And so if you happen to be in the chat, and looks like Matthias just got here. Sorry, Matthias. You know, I mean, if you want to hang out, you can, but I think Ali had somewhere to go, and it looks like it's about the end of the line. I do have a little bit of beer left, but it is what it is, Matthias. Sorry. But I appreciate y'all joining. Like I said, we'll invite random people, whoever can make it, whoever can't. We're trying to have different people. I invited Kalen Jordan. He didn't make it. I invited Talesh. He didn't make it. So we're just going to have different people on. Like I said, Matthias, we're not going to have one next Friday because I'm going to be traveling. But the Friday after that, we will have a live stream. I do have some new videos we're shooting and or have shot that are coming out next week. If anyone's here, please hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you as part of the eCommerceaholic family. I don't think there's any merchants on here, but if you want to get more out of your Magento store, hit that subscribe button, tap that notification bell while you're at it. Gotta get the plugs in, guys. Sorry. Had to went all promo mode on you there.
I loved the get more from your store. That's great.
Yeah, we actually did that. Wrote that today as our new intro for the channel. We've been, the videos we do are pretty good, but we're trying to pick up the pace. A couple of things about videos. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of a YouTube lesson here, but just video theory in general is you never want to have the same camera angle for more than 9 seconds. And by camera angle, I mean the same positioning. So like if you cut and you're on this side and then you cut and you're on this side, that's okay. But you don't want to have a continuous shot for more than 9 seconds. So we're working on that. We're working on adding more graphics and enhancements and picking up the pace and making the videos a little more condensed and just making them more consumable so that people watch them longer. And if they watch them longer, YouTube rewards you and you get subscribers. And we're adding subscribers steadily. We add a couple of subscribers every day, about 2 subscribers a day on average, which is great. That's like a 50% increase so far just in January. And we continue that pace, we'll be in great shape.
Nice. Congrats, CJ.
Thank you. We're getting there.
I don't have a beer, but I'll raise my hand. My glass.
Just raise your bedpan.
Oh, here we go. I got some water. I'll bring that up for you. Next time I'll have to bring some beer. I have some in the fridge.
It's vodka. Don't let him lie to you.
I wish.
All right. Well, I appreciate y'all being on. I appreciate you guys. Let me point at the camera, not at the screen that I got over here. I appreciate everybody who watched. Like I said, Friday after next, we will be doing this again, the same time, the same place. Subscribe to the freaking channel. Hit the notification bell. We will notify you. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/eCommerceaholic. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right, guys. Later.
Thanks, TJ. Have a good one, man.